So thank you so much to Opa and Zoe for coming here today to talk to us about the National Science Policy Network. As you may have been hearing throughout the day, we have a lot of people as a part of the National Science Policy Network here with GARD, because it's very important for us to advocate for our science and become involved with the community, because we're here creating these wonderful rapid diagnostic tests, but we need to make sure that we can get that technology out there and to properly communicate this. So I will let them take it from me over here. Just let me know if you need anything. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for organizing. Welcome to the National Science Policy Network informational session. Today, myself and another onboarding chair are going to give you a little bit of a background on what NSPN is and what kind of things you can get involved in if you so choose to join us. So first, we'll start with introductions. My name is Zoe Cannabis. I'm the Western Region Onboarding Chair. I'm currently a PhD candidate at UC Davis, hoping to graduate this summer. We'll see. But I also, like I said, serve as the Western Region Onboarding Chair. And I'll pass it over to Ope.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Ope Oyewole, and I'm the Central Region Onboarding Chair, and I'm also a CCSD Science Fellow here in Sacramento, California. So we'll go ahead and start with the history of NSPN. So NSPN was founded in 2018 with the mission of catalyzing the engagement of early career scientists and engineers in policymaking through fostering inclusive community and then training new generations of diverse leaders and empowering advocates for the role of science in society. And so the big focus of the group is on early career scientists and engineers and engaging them in policy work. We have over 1,800 members. 8,000 members would be good, hopefully soon. 1,800 members that comprise of undergraduates, early career scientists, and also allied members who are the more experienced professional members. And we also have 73 chapters as part of the group that are across the United States and territories, from the East, West, South, and Central US, and also international. And so we have some members in Asia, from the African continent, who are part of our group as well.
Great. Thank you for that background, Ope. So I'm going to introduce you to a couple of the resources that NSPN offers and has kind of compiled for us. If you're new to science policy, just trying to understand what this field is and what it offers, NSPN will be a great resource to go to find all of our compiled resource lists. So you really can start to get into the weeds and dig into the different areas of science policy that are most interesting to you. But I'll highlight a couple of them now. First, we have diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility resources. These include resources for different fellowship, mentorship programs, but most particularly other resources that have been compiled by other groups, just making sure to highlight anything that promotes DEI values, either through a program or some other kind of work. Next, we have science diplomacy resources. This is a list of organizations that would include non-government institutions and nonprofits that participate in science diplomacy. And so if you're interested or want to learn more about that field, this would be a great resource to go to try and see what does a science diplomat actually do. Next, we have science policy and science communication resources. This is the master of all of the lists, in my opinion. This can take you a lot of hours to go through, but it's definitely worth it. So this will give you, it's hard to say all of the different categories, but it ranges from different fellowships that are available, different resource compilations that have been put together, different lists of what kind of skills would be useful to get into science policy if you want to pursue this career as an option. So I would encourage you to check out any of those to learn a little bit more about what you can do in science policy. Finally, the Graduate Education Committee of NSPN, we'll get into the committees in just a second, put together an introduction to science policy set of modules. So this talks about science policy and where that meets government at every level of government and in every branch. This is all US focused, so you won't see too many diplomacy or foreign affairs resources in here, but it's a fantastic introduction to see how can scientists get engaged with policy in these different subsectors of the US government, and it also provides some real life examples of individuals and groups that have been doing science advocacy. Next, I'd like to talk about the 6 different committees that NSPN has. We'll talk about them 2 at a time, and we'll start with advocacy. The Advocacy Committee encourages NSPN and its members to be active participants in the policy process and interact with all of those affected by it. Some of their goals are to define what science advocacy means to NSPN and its members, and some of the projects that they participate in or put on would be like workshops on how to write an op-ed or how to engage in public comment. Another committee we have is the Graduate Education Committee. This works to improve the landscape of available resources to support graduate, student, and educational experiences. And as I mentioned, this committee was the one that put together the introductory modules for science policy. So that's just one example of the work they do, but they also work on curriculum building and trying to establish those at different institutions. Next, we have the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. This group aims to develop and elevate the voices of those in marginalized or disenfranchised groups, as these voices are necessary for effective and sustainable change for NSPN and our world. Some of the projects this group is working on are, they have monthly, I think they're monthly, diversity webinars where they feature they'll feature a scientist or science policy professional that is working somewhere in the DEI space to talk about these kinds of issues. In addition, they also host 2 different funding programs, 2 different grant opportunities. One is for NSPN chapters, and the other is for external groups to participate and promote projects that in some way empower DEI values. Next, we have the Public Engagement and Science Communication Committee. This group organizes programming that connects science policy and communication. Some of their most flagship work is the science policy, NSPN Science Policy blog. I think that's called SciPol Bites. What they'll do is they'll put together solicitations for different topics and ask for NSPN members to submit to them. They'll perform some minor editing on those posts, but in addition to that, they'll also host different webinars and workshops on how to improve your communication to general audiences as a scientist. Next, we have the Grants and Finance Committee, which is responsible for planning and executing any financial programs that serve NSPN members and chapters. And finally is the Science Diplomacy Committee. They develop resources for NSPN members to gain marketable skills relevant in a science diplomacy career. The 2 programs that I want to first talk about are sort of the flagship programs that NSPN offers. The first is the SciPol Scholars in Residence program. This provides a combination of hands-on training and experiential learning for NSPN members in the world of science policy. It works in 2 parts. They'll start with a 6-week educational boot camp where you'll meet for 1 to 2, maybe to 3 hours once a week for 6 weeks with the rest of your cohort, where you'll be learning from science policy experts about different areas of science policy. It's not necessarily an introductory course to what science policy is, but I felt that after I had done a lot of my own research, like looking through the different resource databases, and then I completed this program, it really took me from being a beginner to knowing what science policy is to that more advanced level of knowing what is it in science policy that I want to do. Another component of this program is you write a memo that could be about anything you want, but it does have to be tied into the theme for that year. When I was a SciPol scholar last spring, the topic was climate change and the environment, and my memo topic was mitigating extreme heat health impacts for vulnerable communities in California. Just a couple of examples. The second part of this program is completing a residency. This is where you are given a small stipend to complete a 6-month part-time residency with any science policy institution of your choice. And I guess science policy institution might even be a bit too narrow. This could be any organization that you wish, where you can be working on some sort of science policy related project. For me, I got in touch with some of the people in the Oakland office at the Union of Concerned Scientists and started working on a project that promotes the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act that was passed in California in 2014, all state level relevant politics that I was working on, but it was a really cool project. And you are given a stipend to kind of create your own position anywhere you wish. So it's a really cool opportunity. The second to mention is the Science Diplomacy Fellowship. This supports project-based collaborations between early career scientists and science diplomacy institutions. So the way that it works is the science diplomacy coordinator will partner with different diplomacy institutions that could be non-government institutions, embassy and consulates, and they come up with a series of projects that they would like fellows to work on. Then when the application rolls around, applicants will apply to be a part of a team to work on a particular project. Applicants are then accepted and formed into these different teams, and you work on that particular project for, I believe, 6 months. Next, I'd like to highlight the Science Policy Mentorship Program. This was launched earlier this academic year, so in the fall, and this pairs people that are new in their science policy journey to our allied members within the organization. Next, we have the Historically Black College, University and Minority Serving Institution Science Policy College Tour. So this is actually happening next week. And definitely check out the website to see more information on that. Next, we have the Science Policy Writing Competition. This is a collaboration with the Science Policy Journal Forefront, which is a blog style medium where we are going to be soliciting policy memo submissions from NSPN members that will eventually be published in Forefront, and based on the competition, there'll be some prizes and some prestigious awards afterwards. And finally, I think our newest program to be involved in would be our affinity groups. The couple of these that we have right now are climate change and environment. We also have a neuropolicy group and even a language learning group. So affinity groups really means you're coming together for either a common issue that you want to learn more about, or you're coming together to learn a set of skills as a group. So that's where the language learning comes in. And so we recently launched these groups. We just had a onboarding session for a couple of leaders for the group. So stay tuned for all of that. And also, if you become an NSPN member, you'll be able to be a member of our Slack channel. And that has many, many sub-channels within it that have endless opportunities and programs for you to get involved in. And I think I'll pass back over to Ope. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. So Zoe mentioned all the different committees that we have. And like I mentioned previously, we also have chapters. So with our committees, the bulk of the work that's done in our committees is a lot of the programming that NSPN does, and that's through either events or writing. And so I have a few examples of the events that our committees have put together on here. At the top, we'll have the diplomacy, the Science Diplomacy Committee, and at the bottom we have some events from the graduate education and also our DEI committee. And so these are the kinds of things that if you're a member, you're able to form groups together and organize these events, from thinking of the theme to inviting speakers and then putting these events on. And NSPN supports the whole process. Usually it's members who actually come up with the ideas of things that they want to talk about, and then form groups around those ideas and bring this up to the entire NSPN membership and also those outside. So outside of our writing, I think Zoe mentioned this earlier, the SciPol Bites opens up more outside of events, opens up writing opportunities for members. And so these are very, very low barrier 500 to 1,000 word essays that people write on whatever topics that they want to write that have been announced by the group. And so this is actually put on by our Public Engagement and Science Communication Committee. And so once a month we have these topics that members write about. Beyond this, like Zoe mentioned also, we also work with different journals. We've worked with the Journal of Science Policy and Governance previously to put together an issue and have members write policy memos that are submitted for publishing. And so with these as well, you're not on your own as a member. You get to form groups together and work with people. And this is the theme at NSPN, being able to come together in groups and collaborate and work with other people who are learning the process, other people who have learned the process and are willing to mentor and teach you as you're getting to know about policy. So we have a lot of upcoming events. I will encourage you to go on the website. I put the link in the chat previously. So very, very soon coming up on Wednesday, we have a data diplomacy event where they're going to be talking about data and sustainability and climate solutions. Zoe mentioned the Forefront competition that's coming up. And so there'll be a one-on-one event where they're telling you what is coming up with this competition and how to prep for it. Later this week, there's the Science Diplomacy Roadshow. And so they'll be in Washington, DC, talking all things science diplomacy to people who are interested and who are in the DC area. Zoe mentioned as well the HBCU and MSI Science Policy College tour that's happening from the 28th to the 30th of this month. And then next month, early in April, we have the Diplomatic Skills Training course. That's a collaboration between NSPN and Meridian, which is a science diplomacy institution. And also there's another event for those of you who are interested in learning more about science policy. Science policy fellowships are a great way to get started with them in this field. And so being able to apply for and get science policy fellowships are also helpful for learning the process. And so if you're interested in something like that, definitely attend our event on April 11th. So if after everything that we've talked about today, you're interested in learning more, you can become a member. One thing to do is to go to the website in general and just click around and figure out what you're interested in and where you'd like to plug in. There are several different tiers of memberships. And so we have undergrads who are members for $10 a year, or early career professionals. So this is recent graduates, you're 5 years out, or you're just you've graduated, but you're now learning about science policy, coming in at $20 a year to, again, get involved in all of the events that we've talked about, all the opportunities that we've talked about, and be able to learn about policy opportunities around the US and around the world. And then professionals are for those who are more established in their careers, people who have been in policy for a while, who would down the line also be able to help with mentoring our members. And so I've put the link for this page on the on the slide, and also you can just go on the website and find out more information. So with that, we'd like to know if anybody has any questions that we can answer. And again, those are our emails on the slide. So if you want to send an email to ask us any questions as well, we're open to hearing from you and would love to hear from you.
All right, hi everyone. So I really enjoyed that talk. Thank you so much for explaining to us about NSPN. I was checking the Whova and we don't have anything over there. Hopefully some people make it to the networking session tomorrow. It's pretty hard at this time just because of like time zone stuff, but hopefully some NSPN members can join us tomorrow as well. see that Florence says that she will join via the link. Thank you so much, Florence. I appreciate you attending and joining.
Yes.
So Florence, do you have any questions?
Hi, Chelsea. Thank you for that. I really appreciate knowing more about this program about National Science Policy Network. And I think it's the first time I'm interacting with such, and I've gone through and seen the number of programs on the website, and it's quite interesting for me from Kenya. And perhaps I would want to know more about the involvement of maybe Africa or East Africa countries in this forum, because I checked on the map, mostly looks like it's more based in the US. Maybe if I can get some clarification of some of the programs that are possibly being involved, people from maybe Africa region, perhaps. Yeah.
Zoe, do you want to take that since you've onboarded a few international members?
Yeah, so yes, NSPN currently is US based, and the way that you would join, when you would join NSPN, you would be affiliated with a particular hub. There has been talk in the future to create an international hub, the biggest bucket of all of anyone not in the US that doesn't want to be affiliated with a particular region. But if you're interested in any of the programs that we mentioned, if you go to the NSPN website, you'll be able to see whether only US citizens are allowed to apply or not, but you can enjoy all of the other benefits apart from the programs, definitely by just joining as an NSPN member.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate.
Yeah, I also added another email address that you can send questions to if you have any questions. In addition to sending an email to either Zoe or I, you can definitely reach out.
And I think one more important thing to mention is Opie and I went through a whole lot of resources, a whole bunch of programs. NSPN is a fairly new organization and we are growing rapidly. So that means we have a lot of new programs being added, and at the same time, some are going away. When you first join NSPN, you are going to be onboarded with whatever hub that you are associated with, whether it be Eastern, Central, Southern, Western, that's mine, or if you're an international member. And then one of the onboarding chairs takes all of the non-affiliated members. And so what we do is we have a one-on-one meeting with whoever just joined, and we talk through your specific interests in science policy, and we direct you to the exact resources that would be useful for you to start with. It can be an overwhelming number of things to go through on your own. And so we are here to help that transition go a little bit smoother so you can get the most out of your NSPN membership. So although there is a lot to remember, you do have a designated person at NSPN that would be your onboarding chair to navigate that process for you.
Thank you. That is quite interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Florence. I think that's a question that a lot of people will have. A lot of people from GARD are from other countries. So I know that you all have some people from Canada as well, correct me if I'm wrong, from an NSPN. So hopefully we can help you all branch out. So that's all the questions that I have. We can wrap up early if you all would like. And hopefully we can see some people from NSPN there tomorrow with the networking session.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. Thanks for inviting us. Had fun.
Well, thank you for being here. Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye.